have begun. So, I'm joined by my friend here, Mr. Hand Banana Buster, who also streams on Twitch occasionally. Um, and we may end up having another person join us here soon, potentially. His name is the Black Seto. He streams on Twitch, and I believe he's also doing video content and stuff for YouTube now as well. But what we're going to be talking about today is Marathon. Obviously, most people have at least heard of the game. It's Bungie's new extraction shooter. Right now, it's being met with some mixed reviews from the community, and we're going to kind of go over some of the initial thoughts from the server slam from this past weekend, and see the good, the bad, and the ugly from everything. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Banana here, let him kind of introduce himself a little bit, and we'll go from there.
Hello, TV land. This is Hand Banana HBB coming at you live. And we're here to give some quick thoughts on Marathon. You can catch me over at Hand Banana Buster on Twitch. Selfless, shameless plug real quick for you. Just a normal gamer. We're here to have fun and play with friends, gam with friends, and rock and roll, shooting people, and play some MMOs.
That's right. This guy plays pretty much every game imaginable, every genre, anything that you could think of. This guy has probably tried it at some point, so he is an enjoyer of many things. We'll put it that way. I dabble in some action RPG stuff, some MMO here and there. Primarily stick to shooters, third and first person. But I play a little bit of everything myself, survival games, kind of just whatever I'm feeling at the time. But as I said, we're going to be focusing on Marathon. I did put together a video earlier, just kind of going over some of my thoughts and what some people were addressing as far as what's being brought up in the community. The first thing that we'll probably address is the visual art style that they've chosen to go with. So, from my personal opinion, I feel like how Marathon is set up as far as the story, lore, background, all that. I think it's a unique art style. It's not going to be for everybody. I actually kind of like it myself because gives me this weird like Tron-ish vibe, and also kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Cycle Frontier as far as like some of the design of like the buildings, the outside environment, stuff like that. And I really enjoyed the Cycle Frontier. So for me personally, I don't really have an issue with the graphics. Maybe some of like the weapons could have been a little bit, different, tweaked, whatever, which they can still make those, adjustments. But for me, I don't have an issue with it. I can see how some people would potentially be turned off by it because, if it's not your cup of tea, then, it's going to be kind of hard for you to enjoy the game, right, if you don't enjoy the art style of the game. But what are your thoughts, Banana?
Kind of piggybacking off what you said, I kind of agree with you there. Cycle Frontier was a really good game back in the day of its time. It actually went through 2 iterations, so it definitely saw a progressive uptick. For me, I get the more cyberpunk 2077 vibe, Edge Runner. I like the neon colors and the neon themes. I think that's really an art style and artwork that really hasn't been put to good use. Kind of remnants of realistically, if I wanted to say a game, what was that? Blood Dragon, if I'm correct, from Far Cry Blood Dragon, little DLC mod that came out. So that was always like a big plus in my book when it comes down to colors. And when you're kind of thinking about it and looking at it, you want to make a game accessible to everybody and not have to play something like Let's say we're trying to play Crimson Desert multiplayer style with everybody has high fidelity, the greatest graphics in the world. Not saying it's bad graphics, but you want to make it console accessible, PC accessible by mass amounts of people. In the same token, so I do like the art style that they went to. A little bit of controversy in the back with that. I'm not here nor there to judge, but just some funny, interesting things. But all in all, the art style and direction, I do feel like it's one of those. We can all say that these graphics aren't everybody's cup of tea or everybody's, hey, this got to look like this. But realistically, how many people are playing the highest graphical settings and higher graphical fidelity games in the first place? You'd rather play a good game than a game that looks the best, because those don't always sell the best in the first place. So great art direction. Listen, bring it back some classics and bring it back that old school love feel for gameplay.
Yeah, I didn't really. I kind of saw a little bit of that Far Cry mod that you were talking about, and I never even thought about Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk is one of those games that was like supposed to be designed to look like super, crazy good, and all that good stuff. But yeah, this is a weird combination. It like it's like futuristic, but it's like, because I literally watched the new Tron movie today, Tron Ares or whatever, and it's just like funny because there's parts that you look at in the movie and it's like, yeah, like this is supposed to be like super futuristic and stuff, but then there's like throwbacks to like stuff from first generation like 80s, style, and this kind of is like the same vibe. It's like it's futuristic, but it's also like kind of old school in some of the stuff that it does with the visuals and that. So again, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I think it's okay to not like the graphics, but I don't think you should say the game is going to be terrible or that you hate the game because it's something that you don't enjoy. Like you can not like something, and not it can be like not my cup of tea, but it could still be a great game. It's just not for me, right? That's a lot of the like roguelike games and stuff like that. I don't say that the games are terrible. I just say that the games probably aren't for me because they're not going to keep my interest, or they're not what I enjoy playing. It doesn't make it a bad game. It's just not my style, right? So I think it's getting a lot of hate on the visual side for, not saying that there's no basis to it. It's just it's a different style, right? They're trying something different. They're going with what they want to do, and it is what it is. But on that note, something else.
Real quick,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
on that note there, if we think about it, well, just to give you a quick example, you have people can say the graphics in this and that, but people still play World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft just dropped Midnight. Midnight looks, the neon colors, I love it. It looks dark and gritty, and I don't want to say the one for one example, but World of Warcraft has been played by millions upon millions after year. And then you have Final Fantasy. You have two of the same MMO type of games, two different looks. And while World of Warcraft is not my cup of tea, I can understand that the visual direction that they're going for, and they've kept it the same. They've done some work on it, but they've kept it generally the same. And it doesn't make that game a bad game. It's still a phenomenal game. It still looks wonderful to this day. It's still accessed by millions. So you've got to keep that in mind, that not always about what you look like, it's how you play.
That's the same thing with old school RuneScape and stuff like that. I mean, there's games that are out there
Oh yeah.
that people. It's like the graphics from like 1990s or like early 2000s, and people are still enjoying it. So graphics aren't everything,
They do
but
numbers.
yeah, it's like it's like I said, some people like it, some people won't, but you know,
Interesting.
um, the other thing that a lot of people are like, which is this one's going to be kind of odd because I don't think we ran into this issue when we were playing, but people were saying that the servers were feeling kind of like empty. They weren't running into like a lot of PvP, and so on and so forth. So I've seen a lot of people talk about this too, and it makes sense. And it's kind of the same thing that happens with a lot of new games, especially extraction shooters. When something is new, people are in that discovery phase, right? They're looking around, they're trying to figure out where they need to go,
Hmm.
what the hot spots are going to be for loot, quests, locations, all that stuff. So initially, especially like the first day of the server slam, there's people that are just trying to figure stuff out. Like they're not necessarily like out there going, balls to the wall. They hear shots, they're chasing after people because they're literally just in that discovery mode. So even with that, when I was playing some solos and then playing with you and Seto and doing like the random fills and that, literally if I wanted PvP, I could find PvP because you just wait to hear something, shots, whatever, and then you go towards that location and it's almost guaranteed that you're getting into PvP. So I think a lot of people are thinking that they're going to be running into people all over the place in all different parts of the map, but you're not going to do that if you're on the outskirts or in some of the places that people don't really need to go to, especially once people start figuring out like, oh, need to go to Holler, that's a hot spot. Need to go to, the North Relay and South Relay, like those are hot spots, stuff like that. So I don't know. A lot of people have mixed, um, you know, I guess, feelings about that because some people were like, yeah, I didn't get into a whole lot of PvP. Other people were like, I don't know what you're talking about. We've been in PvP almost every single match. Da 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 da. So, I don't know. You're probably going to say kind of the same thing, but what are your thoughts on that?
So I'm gonna just call people a sack of liars on this one right here, simply because we've been playing since the moment from the moment the game dropped on the server slam. It's been nonstop PvP. I think I did some solos today. I did a solo or two today, and I didn't actually run into PvP because I was too busy trying to fight the bots. And I actually got down, and I still extracted, but I was down in the extraction, and I didn't run into PvPs, and it was a solo. I was running the rook, just kind of getting a feel for it. Guys, this may be it. This may not be it. I don't really know how I feel about it. But from the time we've played together, and I've played with other people, it's been a nonstop PvP fight fest. We've jumped, we've done the jumping, we've gotten jumped. We were in the slew yesterday where we just kept losing, and then we would free kit and to take somebody else's kit, then get out, and then go in there and then get smoked immediately as you spawn in. There's, I think we got a lot of misconception, or maybe I could be completely wrong with this one here because everybody has a different experience. Um, but my personal experience of what I've seen, I've never had an issue where, oh man, there's not enough PvP. A lot of people get into the, like you said, they're looting, they're trying to figure this out, figure that out. Whether we were trying to loot or figure anything else out, people were running towards us from off the rip. And one thing I think they may end up changing is how fast you can actually get into PvP if you're actually looking for PvP. Now, if you're doing this, because what I think some people are doing, because one thing, this is a segue into something different, you don't really see how the loot is separated until you really start getting into a couple, 10, 15, 20 matches and start actually paying attention and noticing like, okay, this may highlight like this or highlight like this, but everybody's probably looking at everything and everything around at the same time, and you're missing PvP because one thing I've noticed, like in our greatest, there are no link spawns. There are no extra people coming in unless it's a rook. So the PvP may happen super quick and the whole lobby's dead because guess what? Everybody converged, like you said, into one simple area like Hauler really quickly. Or people are just playing really timid and just playing the outskirts and just skirting around. But as far as people not running the PvP, I would love to see somebody's clips or somebody's VOD of them just loading in as a group and them just not getting any PvP or not even hearing gunshots. Or I feel like you have to actively avoid PvP to not get into PvP. Just to be completely honest with you, that's my take on it. I don't, I never had an issue with finding somebody to shoot at me or getting shot at or sniped from across the map or sniping somebody. So that was a little bit, I'm a little bit indifferent on that one. I know that may be a hot take, but yeah, in my playtime, I've never not had a map where I didn't have to PvP somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of say the same thing about like the whole actively avoiding thing, because I can even say from playing solo that there were times where I was just running around and I was thinking there was going to be nowhere, like nobody where I was at, and I ran into somebody and got smoked because I didn't even think they were going to be there. So I'm like, these people that aren't finding PvP, like you said, I kind of really want to know like what you're doing, or like what route you're taking and stuff like that, or are you playing like super slow, or like, because I really feel like you have to be really avoiding PvP on purpose to not get into PvP on this. So I don't know, like I said, some people, they have mixed opinions. Some are saying that they got into tons, some say they didn't get into a whole lot. I've seen like actual like bigger streamers saying that they, we're not finding a ton of PvP initially, but I'm pretty sure after day one, like, as I even noticed on like day two and day three, that now that people are kind of figuring stuff out and they've gotten through that initial like discovery phase, and also because the server slam's coming to an end, people are more actively trying to find PvP just to test
Hmm.
stuff out. So, I mean, if you're one of those people that were having issues in the beginning, I would say go back and try it now, because I think everybody at this point is trying to do PvP like out the gate. So might be something to look at. But um,
Yeah.
speaking, you brought up
Even
actually a good point when you were talking about this too, that I wanted to talk a little bit about, was the AI.
mm.
so so
Oh boy.
yeah, um, from what I've been seeing and hearing, a lot of people are like, yeah, the AI is actually kind of difficult, and if you're like screwing around or not paying attention, that there's a good chance that you're probably going to die, especially if you're fighting, a purple shield, or maybe like multiple blue shields, or whatever that looks like. Depending on the space that you're in as well, whether it's in the open or if you're, in a building. But I kind of agree. Like some of the AI, like it's not too bad. Like you can kill them in like one or two knife shots, and they're the easier ones, so they're not too bad. But if you run into AI that's grouped up, or you're fighting one of like the bosses or some of the stronger ones, like the commanders and stuff like that, the AI is actually dangerous. Like you can't joke around, and you need to like actually help out your teammates and stuff when you know they're getting into to those fights with the AI, because they and their movement too. Sometimes like people were saying that they were getting confused, thinking sometimes that the AI were actual players because of how they were like moving and going up and down ladders and like dodging and all that stuff. So I feel like the environment is actually like, it feels dangerous, right? Kind of like how Arc Raiders has their, stuff that's always flying around. There's things that are all over the place. You actually feel like you have to kind of be careful once you get into these areas.
Very true. Very true. And don't forget, because a lot of people that's coming into this game doesn't really have that. I don't want to say doesn't really, but they may or may not have that experience with other extraction shooters where we go way back in the day. And in the game that shall never be named, we are coming back from a bot spawning and headshot you with a shotgun that shouldn't headshot you from across the map, and you're dead from the time you spawn in. There's no going down or getting revived. There's back to the lobby with you, back to Speranza, or whatever you want to say it. But in Tarkov, there were super bots that sometimes they wouldn't die, and they would spawn in and shoot you across the map in your face, and you just be dead. So when we're talking about difficulty of AI and complexity, I feel like the the um, the foundation that they have now is a good ground-based foundation. There's probably going to be some tweaks here and there, because sometimes you will get into a fight, like especially in Hauler, where you can easily get overran and overswarmed, and the bots will beat the dog crap out of you. But that's how it's supposed to be in actuality, because you do want a certain level of difficulty of the bots. And I don't, and it's been said, like I don't want to run around something and just be beating up on the bots all day. Like I don't, if I wanted a PvE extraction shooter, I'll go play games like Quasi more for some other things. But I want to be able to. I've been caught slipping and try to be the boss and got Sparta kicked in my chest and I'm dead. And my teammates got to come over there and rest me because I'm dumb. And I'm the medic, so I'm trying to be like cautious, but I'm trying to be a little aggressive. But yeah, I think they're in a good spot with the bots, but it's a learning curve because eventually they're going to be easy, just like in Arc Raiders. So I mean, I feel like they'll probably tweak them up a little bit more. But if you do get caught in between, like, you know, 2 or 3 shields of maybe even the special elites or the purple guys or the blue guys, you can get beat to death. It's not it's not impossible. It's not something that's like unheard of. You can get beat to death not even paying attention because your bullets do hurt and they really do shoot at you. So I don't know.
I think, like you were saying
Kind of
too.
interesting to see where they go with that because
No, go ahead.
mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
No, just I was gonna say, like, based off like what you were saying with the balancing side of it, it's like I think it's in a good spot too, and like you said, it's going to, as you progress on, obviously, and you're rocking, more upgrades from the factions, and you're running better equipment and stuff like that. You know, they're gonna be easier, so you don't want to like tune them so far down that they're basically, pointless. But you don't want them having over-tuned to where, you're playing the Division 2 and you're unloading 300 rounds into a purple shield, right? Because, it's like then you have like no ammo. But yeah, I think right now they're in a fairly decent spot. We can't make too many crazy assumptions or decisions based off of the server slam because you're capped at certain level, certain faction upgrades, what you have access to, things of that nature. So you kind of have to wait until the game releases and the game's been out for like a few weeks or a month to really get a good feel on weapon balancing, AI balance, the tuning of certain abilities and skills and stuff like that. But yeah, I like the AI being dangerous because, like you said, I don't want to just run around and, I'm not going to hate on these games, but like Delta Force, ABI, where it's like, for the most part, all of the AI is brain dead. They're just kind of placeholders unless it's a boss. And then even then, they're not usually too scary as long as you're not trying to like face tank them head on. So it's good that there's a challenge there. So I like that side of it. But is there anything else that you wanted to add on the AI side?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, we just look at the I mean, if you really want to go in depth about AI, like you have experience between Tarkov, ABI, Delta Force, this Arc Raiders. Before I even get deep into that, like there's so many different games people should try before they start judging this and judging that. And this is not Halo, this is not Destiny. This is an extraction shooter, military sim. You're gonna get burnt. So just try out other things also before you make a full decision, because in the future, that's people's comments on things like that is going to help shape and either make or break this type of game. So be careful, because if you complain that it's too easy, you will get those super bots, and it's harder to fix super bots than you think it is, because once super bots are in the game, things started breaking and you started getting beamed. So just be careful when people can make the complaints about too easy or not hard enough. You know what I mean? So just be careful. You want to make them harder? I'm all for it. I can't wait to see how hard they get, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think we'll have to wait and see what like the end game raid mechanic stuff is going to look like, because that's where it's supposed to be the hardest challenge, right? So again, you don't want to make stuff too crazy hard out on the regular maps and stuff, because then it's like if you're trying to run basic gear or something, you're just gonna get, slaughtered trying to do anything, and then the game's gonna be, too hardcore for people, and it's gonna push people away from it. So you have to strike a good balance there, but um, this will kind of segue into, what we were talking about, but the gunplay and I guess like hit registration, movement, all that stuff. For the most part, I think that's probably some of the most positive sentiment I've seen. Everyone seems to be in agreement that the movement is snappy, it feels good. Nobody's wondering where their bullets are going. They're not getting shot behind, cover due to desync and all this other stuff. So, Bungie had put out that update stating, that they're trying this, kind of like new technology with, the server being able to kind of, make up for, ping difference and all this other stuff. And to be honest, the entire time I've been playing, I never, at least from what I noticed myself, was questioning where my bullets were going and why I wasn't getting hit, hit registration, all that stuff, which is like, it really is kind of like a breath of fresh air, because I feel like not just extraction shooters, but, just shooters in general. Yeah, like, you can take a game like, say, Apex Legends, where there's times where you're getting sound notification hit markers, same thing with Call of Duty, and then you go and you watch the kill cam, the death cam, and it's like, you're getting hit markers, and the guy maybe got hit once, and you thought you shot him like 10 times. It may not be that crazy, but, just giving an example, it's like, a lot of these games seem to have some issues with that hit registration and desync, and arc raiders right now. It's also tick rates of servers. I think these are going to be 60 tick rate from what I was looking into, and I don't know, arc raiders tick rate their servers are like real low from my understanding. Yeah, it's like at least half, if not lower, than what this is. But luckily, that's been a positive, sentiment across the community. But what do you think? How's your experience been so far?
I'd have to agree. As a person who was, first off, let me just go ahead and say, as a person who was really ready to hate this game, actually, wow, I've actually never seen that coming from Counter-Strike. I've never seen that. So just a quick Google search, it says the current tick rate is 20 hertz, 20 ticks per second. Arc raiders? That's pretty
low.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's like super low.
I gave it 33 tick because that was old school Counter-Strike, Steam servers type of deal, and I just kind of figured that was like the lowest that it would go. But there's a little bit of mixed feelings about that. Maybe even saying 3, but 3 packets per second. Oh, okay, that's okay. Okay. Excuse me, I lost my train of thought there for that one. That was a little bit of a shocker news there. Oh wow, 20 ticks? Oh Jesus,
yeah,
that's worse than Counter-Strike 1.6. Like, what are we? Okay, let's go back to Marathon. But yeah, it's Bungie. Let's just be honest with you. Let's just go ahead and cut the cheese. It's Bungie. We know Bungie can do gunplay. We know Bungie can do some good servers when they want to do good servers. They're connecting to the servers, staying connected to the servers. Bungie has a merit. Boy, let's open the crock pot and see how much bad they got in there. They got a lot of issues going on. But when it comes down to gunplay, look at Destiny 1, look at Destiny 2, look at Halo. Halo has always had phenomenal gunplay. Sliding feels good, movement feels phenomenal. We didn't get the Thief, so it's going to be even stupider come server launch, because that's just going to be, Spider-Man. So it's insane. It feels great. It feels lovely. Like you said, a breath of fresh air for shooters, because shooters can't get it right. Coming from competitive Counter-Strike, when we was playing 33 ticks, and then we had 60 tick servers, and then 66, Siege, Call of Duty, even in Arc Raiders, you can get shot from behind the wall and not know what's going on. You could be behind the wall and just be dead. You can load in and the server just completely started lagging. For a server slam, I didn't have any of those issues, and I was in disbelief because I actually was the guy who was hating on Marathon before it came out because number one, it was Bungie. Number two, it was Bungie. Number three, it was Destiny's 2's Bungie. And realistically, it was just because they've had a lot of controversy, but I was beyond shocked and thoroughly impressed that the way this game has came out and kind of, I want to say, set a new standard for these shooters. Because while maybe it's because they don't have the late spawns or people maybe constantly spawning in with new teams over and over and over again, so the servers like nicely refreshed and reset so you get a fresh server every time. But whatever they did it right. And I this is one copy I gotta tip my hat off to them, because so many games get it wrong in shooters, and that's the one thing that you want to have correct is the, the smoothness, how it feels, the responsiveness. And apparently talking to people in console, they felt the same. They feel a little bit of the same way. Personal friends of mine, excuse me. Stuff feels smooth for them. So I'm looking forward to hear what comes out about these servers, because this is a new standard that should be, all servers should be at least a 60 ticks per second, 60 hertz servers. I don't understand what we're thinking, like where we at with lower ticks, but we'll see. Too many games are too bad when it comes to shooting. I mean, ABI is one of them. Tarkov is one of them. We've been there, and then they should know you're dead, or you get the kill cam in Call of Duty, and you like, bro, I lit him up, got so many hit markers, and then on his screen, you got nothing. Or we can go back to Gears of War. When you shotgun, you got hosts. Oh my gosh, bro, listen, this is a topic you can go on for days. At least somebody is doing it right, because we have to set a new bar. I want this to be a new bar like Baldur's Gate 3 was. 60 should be the standard. I don't care how much it costs. If you're going to make a game and get people to play it, you need smoothness. If it don't have smoothness, you don't have. If it ain't butter, baby, you ain't got it.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that more shooters don't actually run like higher tick servers, because you would think, especially for competitive shooters like, say like Valorant, Counter-Strike, stuff like that, even like Battle Royales, that you have like rank mode and they're doing these big tournaments and stuff like that. Obviously the tournaments are usually the real big ones are LAN, so they're in person and all that stuff, so it's a little bit different. But it's like, you think that you want performance to be one of your top things, just because a lot of people will overlook certain things if the performance is really good, and like they're, like you were saying, like your shots are hitting, you're not wondering what's going on and all that stuff. So that part kind of blows my mind, that more, I know what it is. It's like money and everything else, because I'm sure the servers cost more and blah 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 blah, all that stuff. But it would just be great to have, like you said, a new standard set. Like, we don't go below this tick rate for these reasons, despite what it may cost, right? And to piggyback off of what you were saying about like the initial feeling for Marathon, like I was the same way. I watched that alpha playtest footage and everything else, and I was like, they might as well just stop right now. They might as well just cancel this thing. And then they had like the stolen asset, stuff and all that, which I guess that's been rectified, and they compensated the artist and all that stuff. I don't know. I think somebody was saying that it was like a old disgruntled employee or something that was behind all. Who knows? But either way, that was resolved. But with all that stuff going on, and then how the game looked, and I'm talking about like the art style that they went with, like the game literally just looked like washed out, unfinished. It didn't look good at all. And I'm just like, there is no way this is going to compete with, the games are already out there. I mean, it's like, this is ridiculous. And it wasn't until I started watching some videos, and it was actually the Burnt Peanuts, like the private like invite playtest that they did, that I watched his gameplay, and I was like, wow, this game literally looks like, I won't say completely different, but it was like a huge difference from what I initially saw. And I'm like, man, they really took like the feedback and they ran with it. Like they made a bunch of changes, they made things look better. They did a lot, and I was like, hmm. So I started digging, and I started watching more stuff, and I started getting into like the build crafting and all the stuff that's in there, and I'm like, you know what? This might actually be a halfway decent extraction shooter. Like maybe I should start, paying attention to this. And I'm kind of glad that I did because, like you were saying, I wasn't gonna give this thing the time of day. I wasn't even gonna play the friggin' playtest because I'm like, nah, this game's gonna be trash. So anyone that watches this and thinks from the beginning that like we're a bunch of Bungie shills just like
You, I hate
trying to trying to promote the game, it's like
Bungie.
no man, like I was like on the marathon hate train in the beginning, and I'm like actually this doesn't look too bad. So I give them kudos for what they've done so far. Are there things that they need to still tweak and all that? Yes, but the changes that they made, really good. um
I hate Bungie. I go back to Destiny hate, brother. Like the way they made us, and that's another concern about that. Like the way the monetization, I really haven't seen any. Kind of curious how it's gonna go, but yeah, I've hated Bungie since Destiny 2. I was played Destiny 1, Destiny 2 with my buddies, and then just the having to buy the $100 edition every year for all of the gut stuff, and that's not even microtransactions. That's just for the gameplay. You're losing access to your content. I'm a Bungie hater, but this okay. Oh, okay. Hold up now, guys. Hold up now. A company, and I, like you said, just to, not to cut you off, but I got to give it grace because when people take your feedback and they work on something, you got to give them credit. You got to give them a little something because it's 2026, man. If we really need to go down the list of how many games have screwed you over and done us wrong, Ashes of Creation is our latest one. We don't even need to go that far. But I'm just saying, companies don't listen. They don't care what you got to say. Anthem, looking at you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get my refund for Ashes of Creation. I'm glad that you brought that up. I have to go down that rabbit hole to see if I can get that $40 some back. But yeah, I mean, I didn't play, like I played probably Destiny 2 more than I played the first Destiny, just because for the most part the first Destiny was it was on console, right? I don't Did it ever come
Yeah,
to
it's
PC?
console. Yeah. I don't really think it did. If I take a quick gander, but I don't think so because it was definitely console. Yeah, Destiny 1 was console.
Yeah, so console shooters, whether it's third or first person, I generally don't touch them because I hate playing on controller and whatever. So, but I did play Destiny
Mm-hmm.
2. I got the collector's edition for Destiny 2, and I think it only took me a week, and I ran through all the content and was like, all right, what are we doing now? And I stopped playing, and I would try to come
Mm-hmm.
back to it and everything else, and it was like, yeah, it's not.
Paywall.
Yeah, it's just I can never really get myself hooked back into it. I mean, our friend Cheap Shot, he was a big like Destiny guy, Destiny 2 guy for a long time, and he enjoyed it, and he would try to get me back into it, but I was just like, nah. So yeah, definitely not, on the Bungie like, oh my god, I think Bungie's like the greatest company in the world, and all that stuff. But like you said, you have to give kudos where it's due, and they are listening and making the changes that need to be made. So that's good, and they're also sticking to their guns on certain things, and that's also good because you don't want to completely give up your vision, but you also don't want to be Nikita. So it's like
So true.
you got to find a good balance there, right? Um, Now, one thing that I will agree with people on, the UI. Let's talk about the UI a little bit. So the UI and menus.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Let's see
yeah,
where we're going with this one.
uh-huh. So the issue is not that the menus are complicated, because the menus are pretty simple and straightforward. The issue is that there's a menu inside of a menu inside of another menu inside of another menu.
Bro,
So
come on, wait a minute. You know this is Inception, baby. Backpack in a backpack in a backpack. In a backpack. Come on, let's move.
yeah, exactly. So um it's kind of like I think the same complaint that people had with like Arc Raiders, because a lot of people were saying the same thing with the navigation of the menus, like, and how you were like kind
Mm-hmm.
of bouncing around. I actually think this is a little bit more straightforward and not as like crazy with like the bouncing around in that, but I will say that there are a ton of menus, and the they have to do something with the items as far as like the mod chips, the implants. Um, literally today,
Selling features.
yeah, it's like you have to be able to differentiate things and look at it and know what it is. And the problem is right now, I feel like a lot of the stuff kind of looks exactly the same, whether it be due to like the color scheme or whatever that may be. But like, I literally just noticed today when I was looking at stuff doing my other video that the implants actually have images, like it's an image on it, and it shows the legs, the torso, and the head colored in if it's a head
Yes.
implant, a torso, or leg implant.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
So
you're not gonna notice that when you're in the middle of a run, though. Let's be honest about that.
yeah, exactly, because it's not like it's there, but it's not like super noticeable. And the thing is that you also don't. I was trying to see if I could figure out like if a certain shape of like a mod chip meant it was like it had certain, you know, stats or whatever to it, but I compared two that kind of looked the same and they weren't even close. So I'm like, all right, I guess that's not a valid way of trying to like figure out, what's what. So I think that's one of the biggest things that they need to kind of tweak a little bit is UI. I can deal with the menus if they just make the items maybe a little bit more unique looking, change some stuff there to make it easier to recognize and figure stuff out. Because, like you said, when you're in a raid and you're trying to like loot through stuff and you're trying to be efficient and fast as possible, because people can be up on you pretty quick. And same thing with the AI. Like, you want to be able to get in there, get your stuff, get what you need, and get out, and not have to be like, all right, I need to sit here and spend 15 minutes like looking at all these things, reading the descriptions, trying to figure out, should I swap this out, should I keep it, should I throw it, So that's my stance on it. What do you think?
Um, Backtrack just a little bit there. I, for one, like the UI in game. It's very simple, minimalistic. But when we start going into the backpack menu and looking, I want to say what the first slide is red, the second one is green, and then the other one is orange. At the same time, you can kind of get confused or whatever because the pictures definitely needs to be upgraded, definitely needs to be changed. The UI and menu management, I think I hate this one worse than Arc, but I'm not sure because I started to realize that when you come out of a game, you can hit loadout, and then at the top right is where you can see faction, vault, and all that stuff. It took me a minute to realize that I don't have to. I hit armory, then I can go to the vault instead of hitting escape and then hitting up. It is cumbersome. I understand why they're trying to make it very easy, but I think different font colors, sizes, or something to bring more attention to certain things would help in this situation. I mean, come on, you got like a Edge Cyberpunk Edge Runner video game here, so you can go bright neon colors or something to kind of help everybody understand and see things. Because if you're just starting out, I mean, of course, after a couple hundred hours or an hour, a couple hours of this, you'll be fine and fluent through this. But at the same time, to get the hooked people, you want to differentiate the two and kind of make the menu less cumbersome. Because I mean, when we look at Arc Raiders, we do have the workshop, the home, and this and that. But then you got to go in here to go there, and then it can get a little bit hectic and a little bit difficult when doing all of that. So I definitely understand and get that. But yes, the menu, the UIs, the menu for the basically the main menu. Um, they need to work on that. That's just straight garbage. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's just straight trash. Does it make or break the game for me? Kind of in certain situations, but it doesn't like break it. Like, oh, this is a completely bad game and this isn't doable. It's just I have to be less dumb and pay more attention. But yes, it definitely needs some heavy work. Maybe even a color scheme change or something, or some brighter colors, or whatever the case may be. But I think it's dumb, and I hope they do work on that because that's you're gonna be looking at that most of the point in time of the game. But inside the game, I do like the minimalistic of the UI. Gives me full service screen, lets me see everything I need to see, and gives me the information that I need and what I need, and pretty readily available. But the whole picture on the mods, yeah, that's got to, yeah, I gotta do something about that. That's a cool idea, but it's kind of like it was put in and then nobody really had time to work on it because they worked on everything else. And this is something that may get changed, but yeah, let's go back to the drum board on that one there, Bungie. You can do it. I believe in you on this one.
Yeah, and there's like certain things that I figured out too, like you were talking about, like navigating the menus and stuff like that, and how you can do certain things and not have to like jump out and jump in. Um, there's a trick that I learned too with the weapon mods, like two things actually. One of them you told me in raid, you know, because a lot of them have the X on the items for the mods, but if you hover over them, it'll highlight on your weapon if you can attach it or not. So that's kind of a way to figure that out. Is it the greatest thing? No, but it helps. And the second thing is when you're in your menus, like out of raid, you can actually just right click the weapon, hit inspect, and then you can cycle through the slots and it will pull from your vault what you have. So you can just select, you know, the attachments that way instead of like scrolling through the vault itself and then clicking to attach. So it makes that easier because you're seeing exactly just the gun and what's available for it, and it cuts everything else out. And I don't think,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that you can, like, it brings up a whole different screen doing it that way, so it makes it a lot easier. I'm like, oh, well, this is cleaner, like, that makes it a lot better. But you may not necessarily know that unless you're just messing around and, oh, inspect, and then see what it does, and it actually brings up this other screen for you to do that stuff. So, you know, there's
I had no
things.
idea myself.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like people don't realize that you can do these things to make the navigation and stuff easier. So they're like, yeah, this stuff sucks. But then you're like, well, you can actually do this. And they're like, oh, that's actually not too bad. But I agree. They need to work on changing stuff with the UI and how certain items, the items just need to feel more like unique. Right now, things kind of just feel like they look the same. They're just like gray, green, blue, you know, they're just different colors, but they're all kind of, you know, looking the same, and they don't have that like unique feel to them. So if they could tweak that out, that'd be good. But yeah, what you said about the UI in game, because I completely like skimmed right over that side of it. I do think it looks really good in game. You're getting the information that you need. You're not getting a whole bunch of clutter on the screen and all that stuff. And another thing that because you're probably not really paying attention to it too much, but on the right lower side of the screen, the right corner in the bottom, it will actually tell you what's going on. So when you reload, it'll show that it's reloading the ammo from like your backpack. And when you pop like your stealth ability for assassin, it'll actually have a counter letting you know how much time you have left before it wears off. So if you're not paying attention to that, it's there, it's telling you these things, but you may not be, you know, really paying attention because it's in like the bottom right hand side of the screen. So there are little things like that. There's information there that's useful. It's just you may not really be noticing it because you're paying attention to other things.
You know why? Do you know why you noticed that? To be honest with you, play World of Warcraft. You play some MMOs, and that's essentially what that does. When you think about it, like raid buffs, timers. I kind of noticed that too, but it also is very small. But I noticed that. I noticed that, and I was like, that's pretty nifty because it also shows you when you get debuffed. Now, being the good thing about being debuff is it tells you what you got debuff with. But if it was like that picture, yeah, that picture would be a no-go, like a no-fly, because it doesn't really tell you enough information. The picture's too small, but at the same time, you don't want to cross it and make it too big, because then you don't want to overcome with the player, and then the player's like, oh, this is a stupid trash UI. This is mobile UI, mobile swap. So yeah, I mean, it's there. It's nice to know. More plan, more time will help you understand what's happening. But as new players, most people didn't even know that, like you said, and yeah, it's a good little informational thing. And yeah, I don't know the actual solution for that. I really don't know what to be the solution for them to either make that better or worse. So, but it's there. You can get what you need. And if you're used to playing MMOs, you would pick up on the same symbol a couple of times, because like your cooldown symbol is one thing, and your toxin and your EMP stuff is another thing. And skills going on cooldown because you've been EMP'd is red, so it's a little bit different. But I kind of agree with you on that one. A lot, actually.
So people have been also discussing the time to kill.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one I'm kind of mixed on, because it kind of goes with what we were talking about with like the AI and like balancing. I think that if you're going to adjust the time to kill based off of what we're playing right now, it's probably not going to do well for that, because again, it's a server slam, so we don't have access to everything. But I will say this: I do think that the time to kill on a white shield is very fast.
It is.
You don't really have room to react if you're caught. Like if you're looting something, you're pretty much dead unless they're like very far away and they're missing shots, or they really can't, aim very well. That may be the only, or you have like an insane reaction time and you're playing a class like the assassin or something where you can throw your ultimate down to get to the smoke or go invisible or something like that. So it's not very forgiving on the white shield, and even the green shields, you can go down pretty quick. Especially like shotguns. Shotguns are super powerful right now, so you can get one or two tapped. If they're pretty much right next to you, fairly easy. Even from like a moderate range, it still seems to do some pretty good damage. So I think they might be able to buff up the time to kill slightly to where it gives you a little bit more leeway on it, but I don't want them to go too crazy to where it's like you have to shoot somebody with a white shield, 3 or 4 times to break the shield, and then shoot them another 10 times to down them, because now it's like you're getting too bullet spongy. But what's your take on the time to kill?
I'm actually going a different segue than this one, because you gotta think about this. How many times, if you go back in your footage and you go back and watch, when you're fighting people with different color shields, I think they may buff it to give you more around the board, because most of the shots that we've done, or I've been doing, especially when you play, I'm pretty sure you may not notice it, but a lot of my shots are headshots. I think they may have to rework the hitboxes a little bit, but I am typically trying to pull up and aim for the head in every scenario, in every fight. I'm not shooting at, I'm not leg meddling, I'm not body shotting. I'm trying to shoot you in your face, because I've noticed even the robots, shooting him in the head does significantly more damage than anything. You can easily rip a green shield or a blue shield with a couple well played. I've killed the okay, but I will say this: I think I precision tapped the dude 2 taps or 3 taps with a precision rifle, not a right sniper rifle, just a precision DMR, and he was out. He was gone. Them couple headshots, it took him out. White shield, most definitely. So I do kind of understand what you're saying. They probably want to buff that up there. I can't agree with you on that one, because your reaction time isn't quick enough. They can pull up on you with a Glock with a switch and hit you with that, and you gone. You just on the ground real quick. or even the shotgun. Shotguns may get a nerf because that double barrel boom boom. I've watched the dude literally 1v3 a whole team because they came around the corner and he boom boom, reload, boom boom, next one, then the next one stack it off and boom boom, full team wipe, and we were all dead. And it was like, man, that's kind of busted. But you know, each game has their own. Shotguns in general are going to be shotguns, but I think it's more along the lines of it's going to be more of, not like necessarily a military sim, but it's going to be a military sim-esque. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they choose to go with it, because I think I'm going to be good with it either way. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I am very intrigued to know where they go with it, because sometimes I do feel like I get lasered down, and sometimes I feel like, okay, I'm doing the lasering, so it feels good. But I will say headshots matter so much.
Yeah, I noticed that I was using the Magnum pistol, and I think I like two tapped a guy because they were both double. It was like a double headshot, and he went down. So they do have like a headshot multiplier and all that stuff, and it's probably a pretty hefty one from what I'm seeing. But apparently, Bungie really likes their shotguns. Like, I guess Destiny, like, shotguns were a meta for a while and all this stuff, and so I don't know if they're gonna like really nerf them a whole lot, but it is pretty crazy considering like you have a shell that you can go invisible, literally get pretty much right up next to a guy and just one pump him, and he's and like literally there's really nothing you can do. Like, unless the guy is really paying attention and he notices like, you know, that difference in the environment with that invisibility thing, that it's like, oh, there's a guy that's right here. So I mean, well, like you said, it'll be interesting to see what they do and how they balance all that stuff out. But yeah, I have a feeling that they'll probably tweak the time to kill to make it a little bit longer. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe they don't adjust it all. Never know.
Or maybe they have mods for it, because you know those mods do matter.
Right.
Ballistic resistance.
And that's going to be something that we're gonna kind of go into as well with like the mods and stuff. That's going to be kind of like the next point is going to be learning curve, and then we're going to wrap everything up with like the depth and what, you know, the build crafting and stuff like that. So the learning curve side of it, right? So I feel like a lot of people, kind of like what they did with High Guard to a certain extent, is they came into the game, played it for maybe an hour or less, and they were like, you know what, this is trash, this is like, you know, I'm dying so much, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't know how any of this stuff works, blah 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 blah, and then they drop it because they're like, yeah, you know, if I don't know it in an hour, then I'm not gonna know it. But it literally took me probably a good hour, or maybe even a little bit more than an hour, when I was playing High Guard, to actually get a feel for the game and how each phase of that, you know, game worked and what you're supposed to be doing and all that stuff. And then once I got that, I was like, okay, now I can actually like play the game and enjoy what, you know, I'm doing, because now I know how all this stuff works. Now, is that necessarily a good thing? I mean, you know, people, I'm just gonna say it, like, people are lazy now and they don't want to think too much or put too much thought into, you know, stuff. But the learning curve on this game is, I don't think it's too crazy, but I feel like you do have to invest some time for sure, like, to really understand, like, to have a good understanding. You can have like an idea of the stuff and how it works, but for you to really understand things and make things work for you, I think you're gonna have to invest some time and really get into like the build crafting behind it.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, like, So that's what I've been seeing on that is that, the people are talking about, oh, the learning curve, it's crazy, da 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 da. But then I'm like, well, go play Escape from Tarkov,
Yeah,
and
exactly. There we go. There you go.
it's
Tell
like,
the truth.
yeah, it's like where you need to literally have a wiki open. I literally in my other video was like, you can compare, Tarkov, and you can also look at a game like Path of Exile, and it's like you literally have to be looking at build guides, wikis, like, ammo charts, all this other stuff. So, I mean, yes, is there a learning curve for Marathon? Is it like a super easy learning curve? No, but it's also not crazy like these other games. But, what do you think on that aspect?
I'll give them a better game than all of that. Maybe like Tarkov, but if we really go, oh man, go try to play Final Fantasy 11. Go think you're gonna go in there and just play it just because you can just play it. You're not gonna get far. You're gonna get dumped on. You're gonna have to open up the wiki. You're gonna have to open up the new player guide. You're gonna have to open up. You're gonna have to have a second window, a second computer monitor, just to play the game because the wiki legitimately has to be open because you got to break down the different gear and then you got gear swaps. So not to go full in depth, but I expect games to have a good learning curve. And I think Marathon has a nice one. Like I said, I'm an ex-Destiny player, but not like a hardcore or I'm doing every raid and doing all the dungeons and all that stuff. It's a casual dad gamer of Destiny back in the day. And yeah, it's gonna you can understand the idea that you need to point click shoot and this does that and it does that, but then when you start wanting to get advanced and understand this, like I told you, I didn't know until the other day that hey, I saw it, but I didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like I looked at it, but I didn't really see it. That even the mods and this stuff and the weapon mods all had actual extra stats and buffs on the weapon to add to the weapon themselves. For like, of course, this does reload time, but this one does better reload time than this one because this one stabilizes. So as far as like um learning curve, I feel like it's a good one because you don't want to get into a game and know how to it's one of those easy to play, hard to master. I think that's going to separate a lot of the community and a lot of the player base because it is like you said, a lot of people are lazy. At the same time, a lot of people are dumb when it comes to this stage. I'm just going to be honest about it. A lot of us are just dumb, and we want to be dumb because when you're playing games like this, you're a ball and gun gamer, is what they would call you, and that'd be the most disrespectful because most people just play ball and gun games. They play shooting games, shooting games, shooting games, shooting games. They play nothing else. Stay out of it. They don't. But they play it because they want to be brain dead. You want to the build diversity, build craft, it's all going to be there, but you do need something where it separates somebody who's been playing for a very long time and somebody who picks the game up a year later and they're coming in there trying to play with high level people and they're just winning. That's just some luck, and that's just not necessarily a skill issue. That means the game isn't done correctly. But in this sense, I think we may be a little bit okay with this because I think there's gonna, like they said, their whole thing. They've even stated that they have the build craft and stuff, and that's what they're really looking forward to people doing and playing and talking about and really getting into because that's gonna be where the nerfs and buffs come from, because it's going to be a lot, and it has to be a lot for something like this because you're going to be able to customize your own type of character for your own unique playstyle with your own unique guns and how you really want to do it, which means the mods, I forgot what they called the mods for the character and the guns, and then your skills that you get and unlock. Even though you can unlock all of them, you know what I mean. But it still comes to a point that you need to have a skill set up the way you want it, and the gun has to play the way you want to. So, as far as ease of difficulty, I would give this like a mid. I'd give this a mid to high. I'll give this like this isn't necessarily like beginner friendly game. Whereas I would have put it on the same lines of like something like ABI. ABI isn't too crazy. It isn't Tarkov level crazy, but it can get that little bit of crazy. But it also isn't. It's not going to go where you got 30 different bullet types for one type of gun, and this is better than this, and that's better than this, and this is situational. Nothing like that. But it's enough to make a Destiny player pop over. I think that's really where they were wanting to pull their Destiny players over.
Yeah, they even some of like the weapons and things of that nature are almost direct rips from like Destiny. Like obviously they're not called the same thing and they don't look the same, but the way they fire, the way they work and stuff like that, is literally a one for one from Destiny. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. Like this is not like Arc Raiders is kind of like the Diablo 4 of extraction shooters, where that game is more designed. It's easy like for casual like people. Like it's easy to pick up. It's easy to understand. There's not a whole lot of craziness to it. Um, you can jump in, jump out, get your stuff done, and it's not a bad thing. It's just it's the same like issue that Diablo 4 has. It's like the end game, the game loop, what's keeping you playing, what's keeping you interested, that is what kind of has pushed me away from playing Arc, is because the game loop really isn't there, because it is really casual. They're kind of going away from like the PvP focus to a certain extent, and um, they they also have an issue with gear, right? So we'll touch on that a little bit, since we're kind of segueing into that conversation. So one of my big issues with extraction shooters that don't have a focus on like gear fear, I guess. Like I shouldn't say focus, but like again, we'll just use Arc Raiders as a comparison, because this is one of my turnoffs now. Is there's a problem when you don't really care about what you're losing. So
Mhm.
you can literally I can take in any kit in Arc Raiders, and I'm just like, well, if I die, I just freed up inventory space, so I'm good, golden, don't really care. The legendary weapons don't really matter. A lot of the purple weapons don't really matter. Um, some of the best weapons are like the beginning weapons, or like green weapons, like the Toro, um, Anvil, you know, and it's just like, if I don't feel like I'm gonna be somewhat not upset, but it's gonna be like it's gonna suck, right? If I lose this stuff in an extraction shooter, at that point in time, it's like, I don't know. I feel like part of the game is just like missing at that point. So like, yes, you can do it for the PvP and everything, which I do, and that's what I would like to do. But at the same time, it's like I want my gear to like also mean something, and that's also going to keep me kind of hooked into like going in and like, oh, I gotta find this like really good stuff or whatever. And I think that's what Marathon does really well, is when you take the time to really put together your shell. So you're building out this like, all right, this guy's gonna be like a mid to long range like guy. I'm building out my mods, my like weapon attachments, my implants, my cores, all that stuff, and then you're choosing which factions to level up to get these certain things that you want, and all that. you know it's gonna make a difference when I lose that stuff, because then I have to go back and it's like, man, I may not have all of this stuff again. I have to go find it, or I have to barter for it, and I gotta do this and that. So there's that sense of like, man, I want to go in there and tear stuff up, but at the same time, I don't want to lose all this stuff because it's like a good kit. And the other thing that I think they're doing well, from what I've experienced in the server slam, again, obviously you don't have access to everything, but the factions and what you're unlocking actually make a difference, as opposed to the skill tree in Arc Raiders, where maybe a handful of those skills in total actually make a difference to what you're doing in game. I feel like the factions in Marathon like they hold more weight, and like deciding what I'm going to unlock is actually going to play a bigger difference as opposed to, you know, oh, once I go up the mobility tree and get these things in Arc Raiders, the other ones are kind of like, all right, yeah, I can go this way or I could go the other way, and I can do something slightly faster, or I can, do make less noise or something. It's like it just doesn't feel like they make that much of a difference. But what do you think about the factions and the build crafting?
I think it's like going in a good direction. I like it. It's taking a page out of Destiny's book. I was like talking to my buddy, my Destiny player earlier. Gave him the same kind of question, like because a lot of the mods and the gun mods is basically straight pulling out of Destiny, or like, hey, in smoke, if you are surrounded by hostiles, if you reload, it overflows the magazine. That basically means it puts more magazines in the bullet in the mag. It puts more bullets in the mag. That's something straight out of Destiny for a couple of guns and the mods. Like Destiny has the gun customizations and stuff that's there. The foundation is already there, so as long as they just pull from it, they're doing a good thing. And I'm not going to be the one to complain about that, because I agree that they should keep that and keep that fresh and keep adding more and more and more and doing more to get, personal, make it more personal per person. But I do like the faction situation because it gives you something to go for. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it as far as like season 2 to go back and do it again, or however they're gonna do it. But for right now coming out, yeah, you come out the gate swinging. Or as opposed to something like Arc Raiders, we did all those missions and we really got nothing. Like, we got some cutscenes, some very interesting story lore, but it really didn't expand upon nothing. And then we come to find out at the expedition, we need to do it all over again. So for one, I'm looking at it like, okay, this seems to be good. I know they'll probably add more in and do more different things, but it does give you a sense of, you get a story, you get some talking points, and it makes sense of what they're doing. So I am kind of interested to know the lore of the marathon and what's actually going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But as far as like, I like the fact that you need to pick one, or you need to pick this and go actually level that up, and it actually gives you a reward for it, and that reward is being able to craft this or do that. Like, while crafting is there, no, I'm sorry, crafting isn't there. You get to purchase it, so you got to get that money up. So I'm all for it, because that's kind of traditionally what an attraction shooter was. I mean, in Tarkov, you can kind of craft some things, and Arc Raiders, you can craft some things, but stuff like ABI, don't really. You do have a crafting bench as of more recently updated, but it was more along the lines of you just bartered from the factions and you sold stuff. And without the implementation of the marketplace, we're kind of scooting away from being able to RMT a little bit. But I know, people can RMT and Arc Raiders and do stuff like that with no safe pockets here. Makes it a little bit more dangerous, but like I said, I'm all for these different things and these changes, because I am something new. It's something different. It's how they feel they want to go about it, and I kind of dig it. Like, I just had a lot of fun playing, and I had a lot of fun with the systems, and I can't wait to see how they expand on the systems. And I do hope they come out with full complete dive, and not like, okay, this is going to be a release, but it's early access release. It didn't feel like that. It just felt fun. So I'm really interested to see how far they can go with the faction system, because it could be something amazing.
I do like the fact that they don't have like the marketplace or like a flea market, because it I think it will help cut down on like RMT related stuff and like botting, and it also, I think, cuts down on people being incentivized to like cheat to make money and everything. So that's the other thing too. They hopefully they have a good game plan for once people start developing cheats, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? Like, when are we gonna start seeing the influx of like the ESP aimbotters, all that stuff? Like, they need to be able to crack down on that stuff and crack down on it fast. And they have certain things implemented, like the fog of war stuff, and the they have their internal systems and battle eye and all that good stuff. But hopefully they're able to keep that somewhat under wraps, because that can be a game killer right there if you're running into just cheater lobbies like every other lobby. But yeah, no, the not having the marketplace is nice. You know, like you still have to go and find the stuff to like level up the factions, which I think obviously when season 2 comes around, you know where to go to like get the stuff and you know what you want to focus on and all that. So it'll be tedious like the first go around, and then after that it's just like, okay, I need to go here to get this and this, and then I can just hammer these upgrades out, not a problem. Basically the same thing with like Arc Raiders. And you know, it is kind of nice to just be able to like unlock it in the faction, and then you can just straight up go buy it. You don't have to worry about crafting everything, but you can barter at the, you know, the different factions to get different items, so you don't have to always spend your credits. So even though there's no like crafting, you're still collecting things to barter, so that you know you're saving yourself some money, so you can maybe upgrade your factions or whatever faster. But yeah, I think the last thing that we'll probably wrap up here with is just, you know, overall, you know, thoughts. Kind of like, you know, where do you think the actual like sentiment, you know, and feel for the game should be with like the community right now? Like, is the hate deserved,
Mm.
undeserved, all that? And then like for me, um my biggest thing that I want people to realize is, and a lot of people are saying this too, it's not just me, but first of all, whenever a game is free to try, like try the free game. Like it's not going to kill you to download the game. Try it, put a little bit of time into it, and then give like your honest feedback. Don't just go on social media, don't go on YouTube or wherever you go for this information and just blindly follow somebody's opinion because maybe that's like your favorite influencer or your favorite content creator, or you see the vast majority of the people like shitting on something. Like, form your own opinion, like actually do some like research, and in this case the research is play the game, put a couple hours into it at least, not like 30 minutes, not like an hour, and be like, oh, I can't, the game's trash. No, like put a little bit of time into it. You know, it's not like you're going in there and your game's crashing constantly, or there's, you know, performance sucks or whatever. Like, the game runs really well, never had any crashes. Yes, there were some bugs like with the proximity chat thing for me, and that's not an everybody thing. It's just apparently mine's broken and some other people, and you know, map glitches and stuff. But you know, do your research, form your own opinion. Don't just blindly follow other people. The game was free for what, basically 4 days, 5 days for you to try.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the game is about build crafting and really tweaking your person to your play style and finding like the shell or shells that you really want to run consistently, and really like diving into the systems, figuring out what you want to do with your modifications and your implants and the cores. And then not only that, you also want to figure out which, you know, stims you're going to be running, how they benefit you. You know, people were complaining about like the stamina, which is like your heat source and stuff like that. And, oh, you can't move around very much without da 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 da. It's like, yeah, same thing with Arc Raiders. You got to go into the mobility tree, get those points, and then go in. Same thing with this. This one at Cyber Acme, you go in, and on the far right, that whole far right side is all about heat, you know, reduction, build up, like get you more heat to be able to use and all that stuff. So that improves your movement. You're gonna have mods, like you were saying, with like damage reduction, these things that make you go faster, like your agility stat. If you level that up, you run faster, you jump higher. Like all of those things will play a part. So it's not just you playing like Apex Legends where you pick a person, jump in, and it's like, all right, this is my guy, this is what he's got. There's nothing more that I need to do other than go find my weapons and go shoot people. There's a little bit more thought that you have to put into it, and it's not just about how well you can shoot, it's about what you're putting on your person. Like, obviously, your skill and your aim is going to play a big part, but there's more to the game than just jumping in there and running around shooting people. Yes, you can do it, but you may not have the greatest experience in comparison to somebody who's actually building out their stuff the way that they want to be able to play. So take the time, learn about the different things. There's so many things that you can find out about, you know, that, like I said, with the stims, like it will, like the cardio kick will reset your heat so you can actually just keep running, and it does other stuff. Same thing with, you know, other basically buffs that you can put on your guy. It's there's tons of things that if you actually take the time and learn, you know, play the game, figure stuff out, don't just be a brain dead person. Like there's depth there, and I think that's what's going to keep the game, you know, the longevity and the hook and all that stuff. So that's my yeah, that's my final thoughts on it. I think the game is good. I think it's in a good spot right now. I hope that it does really well, because I really want to look forward to like playing this game for a decent amount of time. I think the hate that it's getting is now pretty much unfounded. I think it's just people hating to hate, which is dumb, but that's my opinion. What's your final thoughts and your take on the whole thing?
Coming from a guy who was hating on the game before the game even came out, because the game was Bungie game and Bungie bad. So I mean, yeah, like I have to agree, hate is hate. But I've always said best people that judge those games, to judge a game, like we come from an era of games that I used to love getting a game demo. I remember playing Frequency back on the PlayStation PS2 online. It was like one of the longest running demos, that because we would just sit in the game and play these stupid demo and sit in the chat rooms. It was all to us, but we were kids and we were adults and we were younger then. And it was like, but it was a game demo, and people took pride in trying out game demos. Then companies went to this whole thing of, well, we don't want to give you a game demo because we used to get all the demos. Then every game had a demo. Like that was how you sold the game. And then it was, well, guess what? You don't get a demo. Just buy the game. Consume product and wait for the next product, and shut up and buy more product and don't say nothing. You're a consumer. When a company comes out and like, yeah, let's give them a game demo. Let's see this, let's see that. It allows them to make changes and allow us to see what's going on and see if we want to purchase it and play it. But we've come to the age of now where even though they'll give us, there's some people will give us that. People are just going to hate because, like, I said it best. People still hating on the fact that Arc Raiders was hot, and when the demo was out, people, I don't want to play that. So, keep it kind of a little bit shorter, but play the game, try it out. You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. You give credit where credit's due. You want something different. You want people to be different, and when they try to show you different and be different, you get upset about it. It doesn't matter. People are going to spend their money where they want to. Diablo Immortal made millions of dollars, and we all knew it was a scam, and people just kept going for it, which is really dumb. There's so many different situations, and just like, it's just the state of gaming is getting worse and worse. Mobile slop, AI slop, all kinds of things all over the place. Marathon is going to be a good game. It's going to be fun. This game doesn't have to replace it for you for Arc Raiders, but if we want to really get into it, Arc Raiders is becoming a PvE game. Nobody really gives a crap about that, because extraction shooters are not PvE-esque, they're PvP with the dash of PvE, but it seems like Arc wants to go that way. Arc Raiders hasn't done anything for the players besides Salamantes, a new weapon, new map. Oh, we gotta wait till April. Okay, well, Marathon's here. Marathon's here to play. Crimson Desert comes out, and there's so many different other games. And the thing about video games is we used to come from an era where games were plentiful. And the plentiful games, I'll take another example. World of Warcraft got where it got and did what it did. Well, why? Because if you don't know, here's a history lesson for you. World of Warcraft was an idea. Let's make an MMO, but let's take bits and pieces of all MMOs and put it into one and give it our flavor text. That's what made World of Warcraft. That's why it did so well, because it literally has every MMO in there. And if you don't believe me, you can take a look. The producers, directors have said it themselves. The whole trust NPC able to run dungeons with you, that is a rip off of Final Fantasy 14 through and through. The housing system is a rip off of Final Fantasy 14. Guild Wars 2 got a housing system now. World of Warcraft got a housing system now. Warcraft has NPCs. So in this era, Marathon can be out and exist with games like Arc Raiders and ABI. ABI is free and people don't play that. Delta Force is free and people don't try and play that. People want to watch streamers and act like streamers control the narrative, but the more you give streamers the power to control the narrative, the more they actively will control the narrative. So when games like Call of Duty come out and they listen to the streamers, as what streamers have told the Arc Raiders devs not to do is listen to the streamers, because look at what happened in Call of Duty as an example. You gotta just kind of go with the flow, because the more the merrier. Because the realistic thing is, video games, we're not competing to give our money to a company. The companies should be competing to get our money out of our pockets for us to pay and play them. So in this situation, final thoughts, I think it's going to be a wonderful game. It's going to sit in there in the same niche category, because again, this goes back to my original topic. Console players are not ready for attraction shooters. Attraction shooters were PC things, and PC players. Games like Delta Force bridge that gap. Arc Raiders bridge the gap between casual players, but casual players don't know what actual attraction shooters is because they only got the casual version of the game. So, end of the day, game can exist. Nobody gives a crap if you hate it or not. Because, and I'm gonna tell you, and the reason I say that is because, like I said, Diablo Immortal made millions of dollars, and we knew that was a sham and a scam from Blizzard. Well, yeah, from them, from different company, but from them, the same in a nutshell. People still paid for it. People still made that game made millions of dollars. So this is going to do just fine. And I don't really care if people hate on it, because people are also really stupid when it comes to video games. Really, really stupid. People didn't play certain video games like Harry Potter and Baldur's Gate because of certain themes in it, but those were critically acclaimed games. So, you know, hey, we're going to be fine. I cannot wait to play Marathon, boys. Yeah, that's all I got for it. That's it. Just go have fun. Fuck what everybody else says. Excuse me. Bleep that out. Bleep what everybody else says. Go have fun, boys.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, it can exist with other games, and you want, you know, to be able to have good competition and stuff between games, because that's what makes things, you know, better, like, just like anything. And one doesn't have to beat out the other into, you know, complete submission. They can all exist, and you can play different things based off of, you know, what you feel like playing at the time or whatever. And, you know, we talked about this already, but, like, Burnt Peanut, I think, said it the best in one of his clips, where, you know, you don't want to be playing Call of Duty 96 and Halo 72 and, you know, all these, you know, same iteration every single year. Nothing's really changing. They're just sticking with whatever is, you know, safe, and they know that they can make their money just by playing the safe game and keeping everything the same, and don't innovate, don't change anything. And, you know, he basically told people to stop shitting on games day one, and basically to just shut up and let them cook and see what happens, because if that trend continues, then we're not going to have anything new, because studios are going to be so scared of going bankrupt, getting shut down, people losing their jobs, that we'll have the same regurgitated slop every single year. So, yeah, it's
Madden.
yeah, I mean,
We're heading. That's where we're headed to. If you think about it, that's where we're headed to. If people keep doing what you're saying, we're headed to Madden.
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, I want this, like, you know, to do really well. I think it will do well. I think we're going to be fine. But game releases March 5th, so this Thursday, I believe. I will be hitting it pretty hard over the weekend. I already took a couple days off. I said I was going to do a 24-hour stream on Friday. I don't know if it will be a 24-hour stream. It will be a very long stream, but those 24-hour streams really, I'm getting too old. So we'll see how that goes. See how that goes, but we'll see what happens. But that being said, we're at about like an hour and a half, so that was a pretty long little Tilt Talks episode. This is, I think, the actual like third episode. I think we haven't done one since like before New World came out. So yeah, kind of resurrecting this. Hopefully we can get. I want to get a regular cadence on this. Hopefully at least once or twice a month. Depending on what that looks like, maybe more if people are available and what's going on. But I appreciate you coming over here and discussing all of this with me. We didn't have Seto. He ended up being out of the picture for this one, but hopefully we get him on the next go around. But appreciate you coming over here and talking about all this stuff. And yeah, we'll be playing a bunch of Marathon once it hits on March 5th.
Wait, thanks for having me. Guys, have fun out there.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.